Christian Horner's saga is likely to drag itself a little bit longer than originally anticipated, but his wife has provided some new updates into this entire saga, fueling the rumours that all of this might be a huge setup from the Austrian side. After the passing of Dietrich Mateschitz, there's been rumours going around that the Austrian brand want to destabilize Horner amid the domination of Verstappen. But who will stand to benefit from this? And more importantly, what does Horner's wife have to say about all of the allegations that her husband has been accused of? Jerry Halliwell has spoken to a source close to F1, saying that these claims devastated her as she believes that he has done nothing wrong. This source, close to the sport, claims that the former Spice Girl singer is standing firmly by her husband, which further adds to the scenario of whether or not all of this was a huge setup by Red Bull in trying to bring a new order to the racing compartment of their brand. Adding to this matter even further, the source reports, Jerry is committed to him with every fibre of her being. She is insisting Christian has done nothing wrong. Other reports have also stated that these allegations took a much bigger toll on Jerry than she would have normally expected, and when the entire case was made public, the 51-year-old was crying the entire weekend while taking care of her children. It's obviously a very sensitive matter, and Red Bull, as well as the external lawyers, are taking this matter in extreme seriousness. Which is why the first hearing that took place lasted 8 hours, starting at 10 AM and finishing at 6 PM last Friday. Apart from the external lawyer, Red Bull have also hired an independent lawyer that is involved in the proceedings, as the team and the company want to make sure that all of this could have been avoided with either better communication between the employees or better leadership applied by Horner. But could all of this be a huge setup from somebody much higher in the ranks than Horner? And what did the Brit say to his close friends? Obviously, Horner denied all of the allegations made towards him, saying that it's just a cheap shot from somebody who wants to see him gone from the team. But the fact that the allegations took place, and it will drag even in the beginning of the season, already shows the damage that his reputation took, whether he's guilty or not. The most important thing to conclude here is that Horner is presumed innocent until proven otherwise. Therefore, there isn't that much that he can do now other than prove his innocence as soon as possible and make sure that this won't serve as a massive derail for Red Bull ahead of a challenging 2024 season. The Brit has also talked to his close friends and family, vowing to clear his name from all of the allegations that's been made towards him. But it's very likely to be a mission which could be out of his hands. That is, if he's guilty in the first place, or if the alleged setup that he's accused the brand of turn out to be the reality in which he would have to live with. But now that he's received the undoubted support of his wife, it's certain that if it was a setup from Red Bull, they failed the first obstacle: turn his family against him. All of these analyses made by our side are based on statements and rumours that are going on in the Formula One world. Nothing is official just yet, and we must approach these pieces of news with great caution due to the sensitivity of the matter. However, only by analysing what is known we can make neutral views, and you can form your own opinion on this matter, such as the one where it's believed that Jos Verstappen is closely related to the leaks about Horner's investigation. One strong lead to this is the fact that it was the Dutch media, De Telegraaf, the one that reported first about Horner's investigation, and according to Motorsport Total, it is no coincidence that these events happened in the order they did. Adding to this matter even further, the website stated that the relationship between Max and Horner will take a significant dip from where it is right now, and it wasn't at the best possible position either. The report wrote, "By the way, the fact that the story first leaked in the Netherlands of all places is probably no coincidence. Behind the scenes in Formula One, there are whispers that the personal relationship between Horner and Jos Verstappen is badly damaged, and Verstappen Jr. is considered a loyal person whose loyalty lies primarily with two men, his father and Helmut Marko. Of course, we must remind you about the conflict that's going on between Horner and Marko, where the future of the veteran was put at stake, and the Brit said he cannot do anything about it because the Austrian is not an employee of Red Bull F1 Racing. He's part of the brand and a close friend of the late Dietrich Mateschitz. Horner was also very close with the previous owner, but the new side, led by his son and Oliver Mintzlaff, being set to overlook the operations in the racing team, might not be very keen of Horner. And when addressing the latest rumours about Horner, Marko said that he doesn't want to be a part of it and he will remain silent until the investigation is done. And even if Horner exits this situation as the victim and the innocent party, it will still have some big implications on how Red Bull will be led in the foreseeable future, especially with Max's father having a bad standing relationship with the team principal of Red Bull. And being the CEO of Red Bull F1's project, it's safe to assume that Horner will implement some strong measurements if he's innocent and continues to do his role as the team principal of Red Bull. But if he isn't, and that is the general belief of many insiders in the sport as well as BBC Sport, then he will very likely see the end of his F1 career, depending on how big these claims would be and how serious the entire sport would understand this investigation. Now, what we can hatch onto is the fact that Red Bull hired an outside lawyer to take care of things, even before hiring an inside one to settle the dispute within the internal circles of the team and the brand. And that itself shows that the Austrian squad understands matters of this nature quite seriously. If they're willing to put the CEO of their racing branch under the bus for these types of allegations, then it's very likely that the rest of the teams wouldn't want Horner despite all of his experience, because this is a burden he will carry on his shoulders for quite some time. Right now, Horner has not been sacked from Red Bull just yet, but BBC Sport believe that before the beginning of the season, Horner will very unlikely be the team principal of the team, and the Austrian brand will likely promote somebody from the internal circle, either Jonathan Wheatley or Oliver Mintzlaff, with the former one being the higher pick among their ranks because of his experience. According to a source close to the sport, Horner does not intend to listen to any of the advices that were given towards him from the internal structure of the team, such as him quitting his job or at least stepping down until this dust is settled. These advices were given before it was obvious that this investigation will take place for quite some time, which then again implies towards the fact that Red Bull might not know what's going on behind the curtains of this show. The question is whether or not they'll get busted with notorious lies that will ruin the reputation of their most renowned member, or has Horner actually done what he's being accused of. The obvious conflict is the one between Horner and Marko, with the latter one having the Verstappen clan on his side. And no matter how you look at this, Horner will definitely feel the consequences of this investigation. The only thing that would have to be solved is how big of a consequence will these be upon his name. Obviously, if he's found innocent, then nobody should pursue any more investigations due to the length that this one is taking, and there's no more need to put dirt on his name. But of course, there will be people who would assume that he bought his way out of the investigation, and that the female in the question has been given a reasonable sum of money to withdraw her statement or to back down, even though this might be the wildest rumour ever. But if he's found guilty, then there's nothing much he could do other than hope that some other team would take him due to his experience and his management skills. After all, winning 13 championships combined ever since he stepped in from day one as team principal does come with its own pros, and you shouldn't be that big of a fan of Horner to know all of the achievements he's made with the Austrian team. You might like him or not. The statements he says might seem offensive to some F1 fans, but regardless, this is a successful F1 team principal who's done nothing but the greatest job possible in leading his team to the great victories and successes. And that itself doesn't come by being a soft character. Authority and respect are earned, not given. So when we're talking about controlling and inappropriate behaviour, we should be clarifying further as to what type of behaviour falls into these categories in the first place before we bring a judgment on his name. With this in mind, what do you think about Horner's wife's statements? And more importantly, do you think that Horner is guilty of these accusations? Let us know in the comments below, and after you do that, make sure to click on the video on your screen.